Dennis in Bergenfield, New Jersey. Hey, Dennis, what's on your mind?
Hey, Tom, I got a quick question about supply-side economics. So in supply-side economics, corporate taxes are lowered to, allow a company to possibly increase wages for their workers, expand their business, produce more goods. And
that's the theory.
Of course, deregulation.
That's not the reality,
with that.
But that's the that's the sales pitch.
Could you explain why every time that the Republicans try this, it always fails?
Because it assumes that people do things in business for reasons that have nothing to do with business. American business, by and large, business people, by and large, are trying to maximize profits. They're trying to take the owners of companies try to take as much money out of their companies as they can. The stockholders of the companies demand as much money out of the companies as possible. And the CEOs and the larger the company, by the way, the more problematic this becomes. And so when Republicans come along and say, oh, if you give these companies more money in the form of a tax cut, they will benevolently distribute that money to their employees, they know it's a lie. They know that it flies in the face of the whole reason why somebody starts a company in the first place. It's to make as much money as they possibly can. So if you cut their taxes, they're going to put more money in their pocket, or they're going to buy back their own shares to increase the money that they already have in their pocket in the form of their stock. And by the way, that's exactly what happens. So Dennis, just by asking the question, what you reveal is just the fundamental lie at the core. And thank you for the call. The fundamental lie at the core of trickle-down economics. And this, by the way, is not the first time this happened. Reagan came up with this and called it trickle-down or supply-side economics. Art Laffer and the Laffer curve and all this kind of BS. Stephen Moore, selling this and coming on this program, in fact, to debate it with me 10 years ago. But it's not new. Back in the late 19th century and in the early 20th century, you had Republican presidents who were using the same sales pitch, only they called it horse and sparrow economics. This was, Warren Harding. It was, who was the guy who was assassinated that made Teddy Roosevelt? McKinley, President McKinley. McKinley talked about, horse and sparrow economics. And the idea was that if you feed sparrow, this all goes back to before there were a lot of cars and that people were still getting around on horses or in carriages drawn by horses. And so the streets were all covered with horse poop. And there were always sparrows trying to pick through the horse poop looking for some intact grass seeds that the horses chewed up because they eat grass. And so the theory is if you supplement the horses' diet, their grass and their hay, with a whole bunch of oats, there's going to be more oats that don't get fully digested and they get passed through and they show up in the horse poop. And so your sparrows are going to get fatter. So, feed the horses, the big guys, more oats, and you end up with fatter sparrows, more prosperous, working people. That was the theory. Give money to rich people and working people will get some of that money. Reagan reinvented it, and they referred to it as trickle-down economics, with this stack of wine glasses, and you pour extra wine into the top wine glass, and it spills down into the wine glasses below. But it's equally BS. It's a nonsensical theory.